like I said, I did want to dive into Giannis as a player, because of course, if you're getting Giannis, like you said, like anyone knows, you're trying to win a title, but you're trying to win a title in the next like 1 to 3 years, in my opinion. And who knows how his game will age. I think from the outside standpoint, the intuitive position is that it won't age as well as a guy like Steph Curry or guys whose game is really dependent more on like their skills or finesse skills as opposed to physicality and athleticism. But his fit on whatever team he goes to is going to be critically important for getting the best out of him, the best version of Giannis that you can get over the next 3 seasons at the very least, and his teammates being the best version of themselves. And that is how you maximize title equity. That is what we're talking about here at the end of the day, not by bringing in Giannis Antetokounmpo and then putting him in positions where his team is playing in a way that puts him in a suboptimal ability or style in order to play to his strengths, or that of other key guys on the team. So what does that actually look like for Giannis? First, I want to say, like, I personally think about everything from the standpoint about how players add value to their teams. So obviously there's the cliche of you only have one basketball. And like, unfortunately, it is true. And it is binary, right? So either you have the ball or you don't have the ball. That is very much the case when you're on a basketball court on the offensive end. And yes, possessions are sort of fluid. So it's not like, it's a little bit more of a spectrum than the on-off kind of switch that binary framing necessarily suggests. But Giannis is, as we know, as you mentioned, as anyone who's watching this knows, is an elite initiator. And everyone in the league in that archetype is going to draw more attention and be more effective when they have the ball in their hands than when they don't. They're going to be more impactful in that situation. There's maybe one exception, Geoff, it is. It's Steph Curry, who there are some forms of measurement that suggest that he could draw as much attention when he doesn't have the ball as when he does have the ball, which is why he is one of the most uniquely valuable offensive players in the history of the game. But again, there's no one else like that. Giannis is certainly not like that. His off-ball gravity is nowhere near touching anything relative to what his on-ball gravity is. With the ball and with space, he is clearly, if not one of the most effective players in the entire league at generating efficient offense, given the right environment, the right teammates. This is an all-time great offensive initiator in terms of creating shots at the rim. Over the past decade, he's in a tier alone with Hem, Zion, and SGA. He's the best at finishing at the rim, above and beyond those guys. He's elite at scoring from the post. He's improved his passing a ton, and he consistently, according to B-Ball Index, grades out at the top of the league in playmaking talent. The constraint is, like we talked about, he needs the ball to be that effective. He doesn't roll very much as a screener and roller. He requires space because he gets to the rim at this crazy rate, but he needs it to be harder for opponents to wall off the paint. How is that harder? It means that the consequences of doing so are harsher. How are the consequences harsher? How do you punish paint collapsing with the highest value shot in the game besides good rim attempts, which is wide open and open three-pointer attempts from a good shooter? So this season, I looked at some of the data. Giannis essentially does not play next to a 5 who doesn't space the court, and he doesn't play much of the 5 himself. He's played 5 possessions this season, Geoff, next to a non-spacing 5. Last season, he played 67 possessions next to a non-spacing 5. The previous season, 33 possessions next to a non-spacing 5. This is not considering if he didn't play the 5. This is just if he's playing next to a 5 who doesn't space or shoot. So I said 5, 67, 33. The previous season, 100 possessions, and it's arguable because he was next to Serge Ibaka in almost all of those possessions, who just came off a 37% from 3 season. Previous season from that, it was 175 total possessions. But again, that was DeMarcus Cousins that season, I think his last season in the NBA, who shot over 6 threes per 75, which is 93rd percentile in the league for centers that season. So he just couldn't make the shots, but he was shooting those threes. Keep going back, 12 possessions. That's the season the Bucks won a title with Giannis. And then finally in 2020, when Giannis was 25 years old, he played 700 possessions next to a non-shooting 5 in Robin Lopez. Coincidentally, maybe, that year, Robin Lopez attempted more threes than in the rest of his entire career combined. His entire 15-year career combined, he shot more threes in that single season when he played, predominantly next to Giannis in these lineups. I don't think it's a coincidence. You get the point. This is the way that Giannis plays. There are conditions under which he is comfortable. There are conditions under which he thrives. If you're going to contend for a title immediately this season and not have some huge learning curve that you're wasting a season of Giannis, of your 3 to 4 season window, your clear best options are to create or already possess those conditions under which he thrives. And every team that's trying to trade for him needs to consider that.